Are live. Eric Butler, we are live. This is real. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions, uopod.com. Like, share, subscribe.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way.
An unopened can of orange soda just chilling in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I gotta vote for Trump, dude.
It's great here, a lot of fat chicks and a lot of screaming.
Your podcast sucks. It's mental, mate.
Spaceman, oh spaceman, come. Did that song ever make it to the United States?
I do not know that song. I was just remembering Lewis's British shout out on the end of the intro there. Your podcast is mento.
Pretty accurate. Pretty much every one of your British accents. All of your accents inevitably turn into an old Italian New Yorker.
Andrew Cuomo, Dr. Fauci.
The other Cuomo.
Throw you down these stairs.
I'm not sure who else. Lots to get to, Eric. Or Floridian complaining about lizards, but not lizard people. I thought you were complaining about lizards.
Actual lizards.
Overlords sense. What did I just see a conspiracy about online?
You can't talk about lizard people because that will get you banned.
That's probably true, but I was watching a YouTube short that said that the curriculum for most schools in the United States was actually written by Ghislaine Maxwell's father, which is interesting.
Nothing. I have not, but nothing's off the table. But as far as the real lizards, I mean, these things are just. There's little tiny baby ones, there's big ones, there's iguanas, they're just all over the place. So I'm still getting used to that.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. But speaking of lizard people, this Tiffany Gomez lady, affectionately known as American Airlines lady, as well as...
I want to take a detour.
What do you mean?
I want to take a very brief detour because...
To what?
I need
this
for
is
you
your
to...
signature move.
I need for you, because I'm looking at Richie the Barber right now, a very simple Google image search, and I need for you to pull up one of his photos and just take a look at the subdermal implants where his eyebrows are supposed to be. Let's not let this go by the wayside, because we've obviously ruffled some feathers with some Richie the Barber fans out there, and I just have to hammer home the point that I have nothing against Richie the Barber. But let's not pretend that it's completely outrageous. It's completely outrageous to not immediately buy everything he's selling. That's all I'm saying.
Friend of the show, Richie the Barber. A lot of views on the videos we have about him, and not necessarily believing him when he says he goes to like these satanic elitist parties, and he's a born again Christian now because he makes like these quips and stuff when he's talking about them. And then there's the whole they had first 30 minutes of their podcast where he exposes somebody mysteriously the cameras did not record, aka either they're lying or they forgot to hit the record button, which happens. We've had come on here and I forgot to press the microphone to be on, so take it as it were. But in the conspiracy realm as well, this woman, that MFer is not real lady, as she has been known as, she has rebranded herself, Eric, and she is, I don't know, people are already starting conspiracies about her, saying that it's not the real her that has this Twitter account, because there's another one that's closed or locked and inactive when you search it up. But she started a new website, and she says, I apologize and take accountability for my actions. They were uncalled for. My very worst moment was captured on video. Although the memes have been amusing, the flip side has been cruel. I'm thankful, blah, 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 blah. What I don't understand, Eric, and we'll get to a video of hers in a second from about a week ago. Exactly. Is what about this is she saying that like the worst moment captured on video? Does that mean she was wasted? Because she makes a lot of claims. There's footage of her saying that the plane's going to get taken down, that, claims that she was talking about a family member stealing her AirPods from her. She refused to give up any ID or anything. All this stuff. I don't know what exactly she's talking about. She's acting like she got mad at somebody and hit them or something, which didn't happen. she made all these wild claims. So what is that just an admission that she was wasted, or what do you think?
Yeah, she was probably just admitting that that I I completely flew off the handle because I had one too many drinks at the airport bar, or maybe a few too many drinks at the airport bar. And you say she's rebranding, which I don't know if that's the case. I mean, no shade. She seems to be a successful woman, right? They didn't. I guess they didn't dox her house, but they're like, oh, she lives in a $2 million home in Dallas or whatever. So, is she rebranding like because maybe she lost business? Because I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I don't know, but I don't think she would lose business because of this. If anything, I think this would make her exponentially more popular. And shout out to her, as she has yet to reply to my DM, but um, I think the apology or whatever she gives is nonsense. It's weird, like PC stuff. But kudos to her on the mommy blog style photo that she posted in the kitchen, and she's trying to make the most of it, right? Like, so I think that's the best she can do.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what she said here. Some people have seen this. I have not.
Hi everyone, it's me, Tiffany Gomez, probably better known as the Crazy Plane Lady, which is completely warranted. As you know, I have been unwilling to speak on the viral video, but I do finally feel that it's time. First and foremost, I want to take full accountability for my actions. They were completely unacceptable. Distressed or not, I should have been in control of my emotions,
but I was drunk.
That was not the case.
Distressed,
my use of profanity was completely unnecessary, and I want to apologize to everyone on that plane, especially those that had children aboard. Can't imagine going through that and trying to explain to your kid what in the world just happened. We all have our bad moments, some far worse than others, and mine happened to be caught on camera for the whole world to see multiple times. Sorry, trying not to sound like Minnie Mouse. Well, it has been really comical for everyone, and I have highly enjoyed so many of the memes. On the flip side, it is very invasive and unkind, and I don't know what I would do without the love and support of my friends and family. They are loyal to a fault, and I don't know what I did to deserve them.
Checks notes.
I hope that I can use this experience and do a little bit of good in the world, and that is what I intend to do. I hope that you guys can accept my apology and I can
wrap it up,
move on with my life.
And she did. Join me on my journey of promoting positive mental health and standing up against cyberbullying. So I'm going to be the guy, as I usually have to be, is say that I don't believe it. I don't believe she was actually crying over that. I'm sure she maybe cried throughout this whole process, and I don't wish harm upon her. But the checking of the notes, in my opinion, not really crying, trying to force herself to cry a little bit, and saying, "Oh, mental health" and all this. She never said what she actually did. She never said if she was drunk or she has a substance abuse problem. She apologized for cursing. She apologized for being at her worst moment. I think she still believes what she said on there. I don't know if she was just a little bit drunk, completely blackout, but I think she believes what she said on there. And listen, Eric, in our line of work, we're very exposed to this conspiracy theorist world. A lot of it turns out to be right. We're a bit of conspiracy theorists of our own. And this field, this genre of, 40-year-old conspiracy woman circle comes up a lot, and they tend to believe a lot of stuff because, once the media started their anti-Trump narrative in 2016, everything got thrown out the window. Tons of things turned out to be lies. still happening, whether it's stuff around the pharmaceuticals, stuff around the Ukrainians, stuff around all that stuff that we've seen. It opened the door up for the numerology and all the other crap and the lizard people, the David Ikes and everything. And I don't think that this woman doesn't believe what she said, whether she was drunk or not. I think she believes that. There's tons of women in this field that believe all that stuff, for better or for worse. And I don't think she's doing anything but trying to save her career. I'll be the one to say it. I think she's trying to say, oh, mental health and positive. Are you a drug addict? What is the connection here with mental health and what you did? Is it that now you feel anxious and have problems because people made memes about you? Well, why did they make memes about you? Could you had a freak out on a plane? Why did you have a freak out on a plane? Were you drunk? And if you don't want to admit that, I guess that's fine. But I think she just had a freak out on a plane. She may or may not have been drunk. And you know what? She believes that there's lizard people, and they may or may not have been a guy who said that he's a Mason. I don't believe that guy either. I think she's just trying to save her business here, which is, as we've learned, a high level marketing company. She's a rich woman, or at the very least well off in her area. And I think that's what this is. Stand up against cyberbullying like it's 2013, like cyberbullying is a thing. No, it's not a real thing unless it's like some sort of coordinated attack. But people being mean because you freaked out on an airplane in a very public manner, that's not, everybody feel sorry for me and give me money, which is usually what these things are. What are your thoughts, Eric?
Well, who was being mean to her? Was it the news that kept writing articles? I mean, what was? I don't feel like anybody was really being mean to her. Maybe I missed that. And look, that apology there kind of reminded me of, was it a Jennifer Aniston, where it's word salad. It's not like you're apologizing because you swore on a plane. And the bottom line, you say she's trying to save her career. I think her career would have been just fine, to be 100% honest with you. I think there was whatever marketing firm in Texas, people were going to say, "Oh, I'm never working with them again." They were probably going to have a laugh about it. It's probably a scam business anyway. She's probably not even that good. Who knows what's actually happening? But I think now all she's doing, because this could have gone by the wayside and nobody would have talked about it after the first 2 days. The 48-hour news cycle would have been completely gone. But she had to step out, I guess, to stand up to the mainstream media that was telling us how rich she was, or what size house she owned, or there was really no point to do any of this. I don't think it was to save her business. I think it was to drum up business. I don't think it would have, I don't think her thing was collapsing. I think she's probably like, okay, well, I'm probably never going to have a chance to get as many eyes on me as I will in this, couple of weeks. So let's put out a video. Nobody would have cared. Now you click on her Instagram and she got 90,000 followers, which wouldn't have happened otherwise. And now she posts one picture, not even a reel. As we know, Instagram is promoting the reels and YouTube shorts and all that stuff. She posts a picture, gets thousands of likes, thousands of comments, and she's a celebrity. I don't think the plane freak out was that bad, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
What if, Eric? What if this was a marketing plan in and of itself? A very 4D chess movement. Watch how I can go viral on the internet by faking being drunk, and then when the cops come, they won't arrest me or anything. Because if you disrupt a plane to the point where you make it delayed and stuff, they usually arrest you. But they didn't even give her a ticket. And she didn't accept it. She didn't sign it. They let her walk out. She tried to get back in several times, they said, and she wasn't denied. What if this was just, hey, watch how good I am at being a marketing person, that I can get a viral video made of myself if you don't believe me? I mean, what if she did that?
That nothing's off the table, right? Nothing's off the table. That's totally possible. And like you said, at the end of the clip, I mean, the clip was an ad. The apology was an ad. At the end of it, go to TiffanyGomez.com and talk about cyberbullying or whatever. And now she's posting this. It's an ad. So you're right. I don't even know how I let that get past me. That point that you just made could 100% be true. Nothing is off the table. I mean, it's kind of like every other thing, right? How many times do we have to bring up the big boob teacher in Canada, right? Like, It's all just one giant troll. And for the 117.5 time, everything's fake.
All right. We'll go down a censorship hole here, I think, with Elon Musk, and there's some meta stuff too. Elon, of course, came out with this. When was this? The 18th, 2 days ago, or if you're listening to this, 3 days ago. Elon put out this thing where he says block is going to be deleted as a feature in quotes for some reason, except for DMs. And then the readers added context. If the ability to block users was to be removed, X would be in violation of the policy of the App Store as well as the Google Play Store, potentially. This could lead to X being removed from these platforms. There are no such policies, for the web app, however. And then he says, it makes no sense. So, James Woods got wind of this. Lots of backlash from Elon. I mean, why can't you block somebody? I don't know why you would want people to be blocking. I think it's because, blocking is a negative thing and you don't want to have people being negative. It's all about making money. It's all about, how they took away downvotes on other social media on YouTube because they don't want advertisers to see negative reactions to things. Everything's got to be positive. Everybody loves everything that they put on. So they don't want people to be blocked and have a worse experience and lower engagement. They don't want companies to be blocked, blah, blah, blah. James Wood said, thank you to somebody. I don't know. If Elon Musk removes the ability to block concerted harassment by trolls or organized political entities, how will X be any different from Jack Dorsey's horrid Twitter? Musk, who I once championed, is only doing this to protect his advertisers. Users of X are mere pawns to turn the site into an electronic shopping mall. The man I thought was a defender of free speech is just another greedy capitalist, disappointing but not surprising. So say that what you will about James Wood on that. He has received one of the biggest shadow bans. He was, suspended from Twitter, and he's commenting here on how obviously Musk wants to make it profitable, and he eventually wants to turn it into an Alibaba thing or China's, I think it's Weibo, where you basically do all your shopping. Basically, it's Amazon and social media combined. I don't know if Western companies will be on board with that. Somebody pitched that idea to me that I was working with 2019. They said that was their plan. So people have tried it. People will continue to try it. I don't think it'll work. They'll have to have some sort of integration with another buying platform or create their own. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. But Elon Musk responded with, then delete your account. So you don't like the changes I'm making. You don't like that I'm doing this for profit. Then delete your account. Sargon of Akkad said how he disagrees. A bunch of people said they disagree. I won't go through everybody. But after that, James Woods posts how Elon Musk blocked him. So the Elon Musk, super fans are going to say, ha ha ha, he's got a problem with blocking. So Elon blocked him, even though that's not going to be allowed anymore. So really, it's this clever joke. No, it's sad. I know he doesn't have time to talk to all these people, of course, but James Woods is not exactly a nobody. And his response is delete your, essentially learn to code, build your own platform sort of thing. And I don't think, Eric, he would have this much backlash, Elon, if he didn't go as far to say eons ago that he's a free speech absolutist. Of course, that might mean, the government is what he's talking about. The government should give you absolute free speech. But you would think by the way that he talks and the way that he presents everything that he would want some semblance of that on his platform. But time and time again, as we've seen, is he doesn't believe in mean things not being protected. He doesn't believe in linking to other websites that are competitors being protected. And he doesn't believe in things that, advertisers don't like being seen by anybody. The CEO said how they shadow ban, what was it? Not illegal speech, but awful speech. Lawful speech, but not awful speech is allowed, basically. Or however she worded it. She was basically saying that mean things will be deboosted and, it can't be shown next to advertisers. So I think this is part of his whole thing. And it's awesome every day to see the people who get paid by Elon now. They just post these things where it's like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Give me replies so that I make more money. He's turned this into this whole, I'm fighting for your rights and I love everybody. and now it's just about money. So all these people that followed him that were saying that he's such a good guy and he cares so much, Tucker Carlson included, all these people included. And he does what? He goes around and just sort of, exploits the system for what it is. There's no general like morality to it. And you and I have been saying this for a couple of years now, how everybody acts like he's he just wants to save the planet with Tesla and everything. It's just not true. It's just a fantasy. You know, he's mining the same places other people are mining. He's getting stuff from China. They still got a plant in California. It's all the good guy thing to sell you stuff. Oil bad, censorship bad. Only my energy is good. Only my censorship is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't think this is this. This doesn't even matter, bro. Like I don't. Okay, he wants people not. I think it's weird. Bottom line, it's weird if somebody is if I think about Instagram, like how many people I have blocked on Instagram, and the reason I block people is if I don't want them to start reporting me or start trying to flag my account or get me banned. I've already been, I mean, all of Instagram is demonetized now, so that point is moot. But of course, you should be able to block people and keep it moving. I don't even understand. I don't use Twitter, so I truly don't know or don't care. But I'm not really of the opinion that that stopping people from blocking other people is going to be beneficial monetarily, or they're afraid that advertisers are going to get blocked, or just let people block people. That's the whole thing as far as Jesus. I lost my train of thought, dude. Bottom line is, yes, you should be able to block people, and like the great Tyler the Creator once said, and now we're sort of combining two things into one, right? So Tiffany Gomez talking about her cyberbullying, and you could make the argument that allowing people to block other people would be a way to eliminate cyberbullying if it even exists. So those things together, like full circle, the great Tyler the Creator once said, "There's no such thing as cyberbullying. Just close the screen." So
exactly.
I guess under all of that, if you don't want people, you just want people to have no control over. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I think you should be able to block people. You should be able to block people. I don't know why he would want to take that away. I guess if he's a scary capitalist.
Well, it's another thing where everybody acts like everything he does is because he's a genius. He announces rules and never implements them as a test. He puts out and he says all the stuff all the time that he claims is something amazing, and he gets Elon's amazing, but none of the backlash. Like most of new policy changes will be done by vote, like allowing Trump back on or whatever. And there's a reason why Trump didn't get back on, because he knows he'd be making Elon Musk money and getting him more traffic. So I just wish, Eric, that people, there's plenty of detractors of Trump that are former fans of him, or by default are fans of him and say he's all and mock the 5D chess thing. I wish that more of the nerds who are obsessed with Elon would come out in that, and it will come. The 5D chess of Elon, it always ends up being for more money every single time. You can point to anything he's done, and it always ends up being for more money. And I'll be interested to see. I don't think he'll go through with the Zuckerberg thing. I think that was another publicity thing, but it remains to be seen. Now, there's all this censorship happening on Meta in Canada, which is a very meta thing. So basically, they passed this bill. I believe it's called C-18, where the Facebook and I guess just Facebook and Instagram are the only ones they've been able to touch who are complying in Canada. Maybe there's like Tumblr or stuff like that. But basically, they have to pay news companies in order for them to show their stuff, because tons of people go to Facebook and Instagram for news. This is what they do in Australia. So they have to pay the news companies for some reason, even though they're willingly using their platform for their news content. Meta said we're not doing that, and they've blocked news content on Facebook and Twitter in Canada. There is this politician, however, who said something absolutely insane, and I'll tell you what her job title is. She's a French lady, one of my people. Um, Minister of Canadian Heritage, as if that's a real thing. She's got the rainbow flag in her profile. She's a member of Parliament, so let's call it a House member if we're in the U.S. She says, and she's a liberal, so she's in the government power. Meta's reckless choice to block news before the act is enforced is hurting access to vital information on Facebook and Instagram. We're calling on them to reinstate news sharing today for the safety of Canadians facing this emergency. We need more news right now. So there's wildfires in Canada, again, of course, because now every time there's a wildfire, it's international news. But what she's saying, Eric, is even though we're blocking um even though our legislation is making it so that you can't show people, you know, news anymore, you need to allow it to be shown until it goes into effect, or else you're being a bad company. So it's okay when the government says that you have to censor things or pay them, but if the social media company goes ahead and does it on their own anyways, because obviously they want people to be upset about this and tell the government to turn it off, it's bad. So government censorship bad, social media censorship bad, but unless it's gonna help the news about the wildfire, then we got to stop it. So this is the insane thinking that we're dealing with here, that this person thinks that telling the social media companies to unblock news because they don't have to yet, that's like a good play and a good look.
Yeah, well, it's obviously every single thing we know now, and we sort of beat this. There's several running themes of the show, but every single thing we obviously know is about gaining control. So it's always a different way of gaining the same control, right? So there's and do they want us to believe? First of all, another question that's pretty standard here is: does she realize how out of line this is, and does it anyway? Like, I would much rather have somebody who is, a smart scam artist, power hungry politician who's just who understands the scam, versus some people who I guess are not so much politicians, but the residents, the citizens who think the politicians are actually doing good for them, right? So does she know? Does she go home and realize, like, does she go home and think like, oh, I'm doing a good thing, or does she sit down at the crib and drink coffee or whatever and know absolutely how insane it is and know that all of it's just for power? Or do they you see what I'm saying? It's a pretty standard
Mm-hmm.
question, right? Like, where do we draw the line? I mean, obviously there's a lot of stupid people out there, but I think it's more likely that there are malicious villains. But I don't know.
Well, I would think that,
This one in
you know,
particular.
this one in particular, I would think that she believes that, it's the social media company's fault. They should be paying the news companies, that because they align with her, the mainstream media companies that are blocked. I mean, you can still go on, you can still talk about news. My friend Matt Brevner, rapper, reporter extraordinaire, he posts stuff about the wildfires on social media right now. He can still do that, but she thinks that the social media companies should be paying these news sites for whatever reason, and therefore this should never have to happen. We shouldn't have to censor you. We shouldn't have to force you to pay. You should just do it out the good of your heart. That's what a lot of these, she's a liberal, but I'm guessing that she's only a liberal because the far leftists don't have any power, or else she would be with them, because those are the type, let's be honest, white woman in her 30s or early 40s, thinks that everything is evil and patriarchal. She's a gay woman, she needs to promote that. She's a far leftist. She's just going where the power is because she wants a job, because she's not qualified to do anything else, because I believe she was an Olympic athlete. They think that this should be just given to them. Everything should just be given to you. The social media companies have tons of money. Give it to them no matter what. Forget about the ethics. It's all fine. So I think that she really does believe that, it's on Facebook and Instagram to pay this stuff, because she too is probably one of those people who are like, I have to go to Instagram for my news. And that brings me to my other point, Eric, where as much as I disagree that the social media companies should have to pay the news companies because you're using a platform willingly, as much as it sucks, I also disagree that the government should be forcing this. But on the other hand, go to a different website. Oh, Joe Biden, go to a different website, man. Like, these are we know that all these same people who are complaining about this say that Zuckerberg's a lizard person. He's a piece of crap. I hate Facebook. They shadow ban everybody, but you won't go to a website. Like, I don't use social media for my news. That's not how I find my news. I go directly to news websites. Call me
it's
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
And so this doesn't affect me at all. You know what's on my you know what's on my algorithm, Eric? Offensive memes and fat guys playing basketball. So my algorithm is safe. People will spend 90% of their day posting about the lizard people and about the conspiracies and how the news is lying to you. And then at the end of the day, they're just like, at the end of the day, by the way, at the end of the day, they're just like, I can't go. You can't even go to Infowars.com. You're not going to theblaze.com. You can't go to any of these websites just to get news. No, I have to have it all in one app. And it's just, the same people who are just like, well, I'm against all this other stuff, but I'm still going to get vaccinated in order to go to work. What's the problem here? It's like a neocon take, yet it's from people who are regularly, let's call them the freedom-oriented people or conspiracy theorists or whatever. Anybody who's against, social media's norms, they're just not willing to get off the platform for some reason. I don't get it.
Well, I'm looking at my algorithm right now, the Instagram Explore page, and I don't know, I don't know how it works, but I have this theory that I have one friend of mine who sends me certain things, and then it screws up the algorithm, and then he'll send me this like super dark stuff that like shouldn't even be on Instagram, and I'm like, dude, stop sending me this stuff. Like,
is it me?
No, it's not you, but. This guy will he'll send, bro. I don't even want to mention it. Like he'll send me like faces of death type stuff that I don't even know how it even remains on Instagram. Yeah.
I'll tell you what kind of messages I get. And by the way, these are all from POCs.
No, but this is a friend of mine. This isn't just like a random follower. Okay.
No, my friend who will remain nameless. He is of Hispanic origins. He sends me a lot of racist memes. My other friend, who you could argue is non-white, he sends me car stuff and other offensive things. Then we've got what you send me, which is, stuff about people saying things are racist. And, this is the type of stuff that I thought, most people in our age bracket would use social media for, which is sending messed up stuff. You don't have an older brother, but the way my older brother uses the internet is, what is the most ridiculous thing I can find, and also watch movies. And, the idea that I'm going on and I'm expecting to be fed news as if it's not, like, we all know what's shadow banned, and we all know what's censored, and we all complain about it, and we all fought against it. But then they say, oh no, we don't want to show you the crooked news anymore. And you're just like, oh, this is unbelievable. What are you talking about?
Can we,
like, if CNN said, we're not showing you news anymore, we're just going straight to puppy videos and entertainment news. And you're just like, CNN's not even going to show me news anymore. I demand that they show me news now.
I know we weren't planning on this, but can we play a little bit of that clip of Larry Elder and Charlemagne? Do you have that?
We can get that very quickly for you, Eric.
Because they want us to believe this is the same guy that was notoriously labeled by the Los Angeles Times, I believe, the black face of white supremacy. And I'm reminded of this because I'm just going through, our recent exchange here, and it's just through the roof how Charlemagne tries to pretend like, I don't let anything get me angry. Like, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah, really? That's how he made his career.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, bro, any DJ Envy, Angela Yee, who's no longer with the Breakfast Club or whatever, but do you think for one split second they wouldn't be completely triggered at any other perception of racism? Like,
Well, what I find interesting is that in the same way Bill Maher does it, it's when like Charlemagne will often be the voice of reason. Maybe even Stephen A. Smith will do this where they go, like that's really stupid. Serena Williams blaming racism or something, that's really stupid, or something like that. But as soon as somebody who's everybody knows is politically on like the right side, they immediately have to, they have to pray to the god of social justice or whatever. So like when Bill Maher's got a person on saying like, oh, you have a lot of conservative views, and that's coming from a conservative person. He's like, no, I don't. I hate Trump, blah, blah, blah. So Charlemagne sort of does the same thing I've noticed where someone he probably agrees with off camera, but we know who Larry Elder is. He can't be seen doing that, or else he's going to get the phone call from who is it that owns BET? Tyler Perry wants to, but he's not going to.
Yeah.
I forget who it is now, but all right, let's play some of this.
Have you ever heard of the term nigga wake up call?
What?
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism. Have you ever had any of those?
Oh, brother.
I'm just asking. You think you've ever
Well,
had
I'm acutely aware, Charlemagne, that I'm a black person, just as you are a black person. And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, we don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump, it seems to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part. How dare this guy come in here and insult you, a black man, and tell you you got to think a certain kind of way? I'm amazed that you weren't mad about that.
I'm not gonna say it upset me, just like I'm not letting you upset me. You know what I mean? I don't tend to get upset over things like that. But what I did say,
well, you did not talk about a nigger wake-up call, and it seemed to me.
So he's trying to play it all cool, like I would never let that upset me, and I'm not gonna let you upset me. What would Larry Elder have to like? What I didn't watch the whole interview. Maybe that's something to do. But what would Larry Elder do that would upset Charlotte? Like that would be so rude that you would think he would be upset, but he's just so cool, he's not going to let that show. Like, what could Larry Elder possibly say to him? I mean, this is literally, I don't know how long they spoke, but this is literally the most embarrassing thing that you could do is call him out directly to his face about him saying that you should have had a nigga wake up call. And we all, I mean, that Charlemagne clip is still to this day, like, could go viral at any moment. Like, it's one of Joe Biden's main claims to fame. And Charlemagne, while trying to get his Larry Elder scalp, gets completely embarrassed and just tries to brush it off like, well, I'm just above all of it. It's like, no, dude, you literally, like you said, you built your whole career on being like a petty, angry weirdo and capitulate, hugging Kamala Harris, letting her go on there and start spewing lies about listening to Tupac in 1985 or whatever it was. None of it makes any sense. And we're still going to pretend that Charlemagne, why does Charlemagne even have any political clout at all? It's basically because he's one of the last ways to maintain the hooks of the establishment regime into the demographic, which I don't even know, are people still even listening to the Breakfast Club? I know they're not turning on the radio on the way to work. They're watching it maybe on YouTube. This is an entire mess, and shout out to Larry Elder. I think it goes on for if you want to keep watching it for a little bit more, but he completely wipes the floor with Charlemagne. He's a loser.
Well, I think that the implication of Charlemagne here is that he's not going to get upset by you saying things that are, in defense of, white supremacy and saying that he should be offended by this stuff. And basically, Charlemagne's calling him not black, obviously. Have you ever heard of having a reminder of something?
Yeah.
That reminds you that you're actually black? Well, he says person of color because, Cambodians and Ivorians are the same. We're all people of color. But I think the implication he's making here is, even though you're saying something so outrageous, such as pointing out that Joe Biden is actually worse than institutional racism, for example, because I know they talk about that can't, you won't even get me mad, even though you're saying something so absurd. It's like something you would see from a woman in like in the stereotypical angry black woman who goes, I'm not even gonna talk about that because that'll get me too upset. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's so above what you're saying, the nonsense that you're saying, that he's not even going to justify it with anger.
That should have been a wake-up call on your part to have a white guy come in here who also said, by the way, about Mitt Romney, because he didn't want to put more regulations on Wall Street, going to put y'all back in chains. And Joe Biden has lied for decades about his civil rights record, claiming that he desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware, when he didn't do any of that. He lied and said that he tried to visit Nelson Mandela during apartheid South Africa. He did not. And he came in here and told you aren't even black and let you think a certain kind of way. It seemed to me that should have been a nigga wake-up call for you, but it wasn't, apparently.
I mean, no, for the record, I'm not a Democrat or Republican.
I didn't say you were.
I think
I don't
know what
that.
you are. I never even asked you about your party affiliation.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, but you are black.
Absolutely.
And to have a white guy come in here and tell you have to say, think a certain kind of way, otherwise you, quote, ain't black. Wow.
How should I have replied to him, you think?
What I just now said, how dare you insult me and tell me I think as a human being, let alone as a black person? I don't tell you how to think, Joe Biden. How dare you come in here and tell me how I should think? I'm going to vote for Donald Trump if I want to vote for Donald Trump. And if I want to vote for Donald Trump, it does not make me not black. 20% of black people, black men, as I said, voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Are they not black now? So only 80% of black people, black men walking around are really black, 20% are not because they voted for Donald Trump. How insulting is that? How condescending is that?
I mean, you're probably right, but I didn't take it in that way.
Well, I did.
As I said to him in that moment, it's just about me wanting something for my people, and I want to know what is he going to do for
I'm
my people.
going to pull out the pause here. That's so weird, Eric. It's so weird to say for my people. What is this weird thing where it's just like the black community, the Latino community, and it's like this whole thing. And of course, not everybody believes that from these racial backgrounds, but for people like Charlemagne who believe in structural racism and everything and say that his race specifically is targeted in the federal government, you say this, but you want to then categorize people into people of color and by racial lines and my people. It's just so weird to me growing up in a place where like nobody really cared about race at all until they started forcing it down your throat in 2016 or whatever. This thing never came up when I was growing up. Tons the Indian people here. One of my best friends from like grade 1 was a Guatemalan kid. As we know, I play basketball quite well. One of the only white people on the team. Shut up. I just don't get where this thing comes from, where it's like the community. What you're saying is my race. I want something for my race because my race specifically has been mistreated, is what people with these opinions would then say. And then it's like, well, you want... there's a Royce the 5'9" lyric who says we don't want segregation, we want separation, which means he wants the ability to, segregate himself if he should so choose. And while that shouldn't be illegal or anything, why, like when I decide and I'm actively thinking, where can I live right now other than here that's not insanely expensive, right? I don't go, what's the exact racial makeup of here? Am I going to get benefits as a white person here fiscally? No, I say, what places are not insane? Where is there no crime, and how low are the housing prices? Those are the things. I don't care if 700 million immigrants came to Canada, or the housing prices are insane. I don't care if 700 million Icelandic people come to Canada. If they're going to start forcing me to eat their like ram skulls or something, then I'm going to have a problem. You know what I mean? So that's what they eat in Iceland, the weird like ram skull thing.
Well, I don't think anybody actually... It's not real. Like nobody, like, okay, yes, there's a small handful of people who might think like, well, on both sides of the fence, like, well, what's the demographic? But I guarantee you, if you're using your moving example, what's the demographic? I guarantee you're not gonna have many black families who are gonna say, I only want to look. If we're being 100% honest, it's gonna come down to money. Okay, they're not no white family or no black family is gonna say, I really love this neighborhood and I can totally afford to live here, no problem, but there's too many white people. It's not going to happen. They might say that, they might pretend that's the case, but it's not. And as far as the black community, that's all completely fake. It's made up. And I think I've posed this question before, but I still don't have an answer. Where you're at or outside Toronto or whatever, does anybody say African Canadians? Because we're constantly told, oh, African Americans, African American, African American. What does that even mean? There's a bunch of countries in Africa. Do they say African British? Do they say African French? Like, it's just black. It doesn't make any sense, bro. So that's another thing. And lastly, as per usual, the reason we know that this is fake and Charlemagne, it's all fake, like just like with everything else, is that when you go now, the clip you played, I believe, is from Blaze TV, so you're obviously going to have a certain, it's going to be the comments are going to flow in pretty much one direction. I don't think there's a lot of lefties going on there and trolling or anything like that. But when you go, and I've done this, you go to DJ Vlad, you go to these urban, quote unquote, urban hip hop sites, Vlad TV, Culture Millennials, notably academics. And when they post about Donald Trump, you can see hundreds, if not thousands, of comments of presumably black youth. We're talking black people or people of color, shall we say, between the ages of, I don't know, 16 and 35, right? Like the sweet spot, who all can see right through it. But somehow Charlemagne and the media, the talking head personalities, still want us to believe otherwise when we can see thousands of comments on dozens of posts of people that they are trying to control who are voicing that they're not even scared to admit they like Trump. They're making it's a whole joke, right? Like, Trump's the first black president. Oh, free Uncle T, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they're still, and you have to, I guess, appreciate their relentlessness, because they do not care about reality at all. They could read thousands of comments and they're still gonna get on their soapbox and tell you that discrimination in our community and we need this and we need help and systemic racism. Like, bro, obviously Joe Biden is the system. He was in politics before we were both born. You want to talk about systemic or institutional racism? He was a pillar of building those systems, and now we're just supposed to do a complete 180 and pretend that that's not the case at all. And even as he comes out and says, well, if you don't want to vote for me, then you're not black. And it's just, dude, they think we're stupid. But I do have hope that when you read those comments, when you go on DJ Academics and Vlad and Culture Millennial and all those places, you see that the people aren't quite as stupid as the media would like us to believe. And to bring it full circle, that's why we get a lot of censorship as well.
They basically just have to pretend for each other, the media companies. They just completely ignore the comments. So it's for other journalists to see, basically, their stories.
A good circle
Not only
jerk.
for my people now, how are you going to atone for the things you've done to my people?
Right.
That's
My
it.
people.
Right. This is a guy, Joe Biden, who, when he first got into the Senate, hung out with
Again, my people.
Yeah, it's weird.
Are you a descendant of slave Charlemagne? And then if so, are you talking about only the people who are descendant of slaves? And then if so, can you show me how you personally have been, or your family has been personally affected by, Joe Biden, even when we're talking about this case? I don't think Joe Biden has had the ability to affect Charlemagne's life other than through, taxes he may have been in support of, like increase of taxes for his tax bracket, which is probably the highest. He's in New York. He's paying insane taxes anyways. It's just, he's not I haven't seen it, but is he willing to have this conversation where it's just like you pin him down, verbally speaking, and say who, how, how, like an owl, and just keep asking him to get to the end of this question? Because we know, Eric, the people that get interviewed in the street interviews, Charlemagne's probably smarter than the average person, or else he wouldn't be where he is, but the average person can't get more than one question deep. Oh, systemic racism. Okay, can you name a law? No. What, you don't know? It's either no or how dare you? How dare you ask this question?
I don't know. Maybe Adam
Segregation.
Schultz can do it.
talked about how well he got along with them. Talked about how he didn't want integration because of a jungle.
Right.
This guy has made all sorts of insulting things to black people, and his policies right now are hurting black people. Inflation hurts the people at the bottom more than anything else. Letting a bunch of illegal aliens into the border are hurting black people more than anybody else, as I said earlier. He's opposes school choice when he has his own kids in private school, and we lost a year, almost 2 years of in-school education in California because of COVID that he supported. I mean, this guy has done monstrous things to black people, and then for him to come in here and tell you how you ought to think as a black person, it blew my mind.
As a person objectively who doesn't care about either party.
Yes, he doesn't care. He doesn't care so much that he just has them on all the time. Had
Yeah.
Hillary on with her hot sauce and Kamal. You know who I don't care about figure skaters. That's why I've never interviewed one. Probably like maybe there's one that I think is cool, but like you don't just interview people from fields you don't care about. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Angela Yee was to blame. Lil Bow Wow, hard gear switch. We're pulling the gear here all the way down. Because this was a funny story to lighten things up a bit. Lil Bow Wow is accused of, and he's he's just Bow Wow now. He's accused of scamming a 10-year-old girl rapper, which is ridiculous, anyways. I mean, I believe the story on Bow Wow, isn't it, that he blew all his money, and that's why he ended up having to be a host on 106 in Park, isn't it?
I don't know. Or maybe his parents or his guardian or something. So who knows?
So Bow Wow was accused of stealing money from a 10-year-old child in a random and bizarre lawsuit. In a share posted on July 25th, according to the court documents obtained by Spade TV official, the plaintiff's camp argued that the rapper accepted $3,000 via Cash App for a feature he never recorded for a tween's track. I don't think a 10-year-old is a tween. The duo demanded the rapper, born Shad Gregory Moss, cops of $15,000 in damages and attorney fees. So you paid him $3,000, you want 15 grand back? That's a little wild. But what initially prompted the Tennessee father-daughter duo to ask Bow Wow for a feature on the youngster's rap song is unclear. The source provided no information where the duo had proof that they sent their $3,000. Now, I think he's looking a little chubby here. What I think the story is here, that Bow Wow will take $3,000 to feature on a song, whereas somebody like Riff Raff, who is not a serious rapper, he is sometimes. This is not an insult. He needs to charge you at least 25 grand, I believe, is this thing he came out with. You pay him 25 grand, you can come to a studio and record with him, and he'll give you a verse. Bow Wow's doing it for 3 grand, Eric. That's,
I
how
thought
many
this
is he
was
getting?
I thought this was a blast from the past. Like, oh, like this is like now. I thought
Yes.
this was like a story from like, oh, back in 2008. Like we're just like I didn't realize this is happening in the as we speak, which does make it worse. I mean, $3,000 Cash App. I don't know, man. It's who knows? Maybe you know maybe I overestimated how successful. Wasn't he on TV shows though? Like he should have plenty of money. No, I mean, how do we get
That's
here?
what I'm saying. I heard that he blew all his money somehow, and that's why he had to become a host. I mean, there's guest hosting, but
But even the
50.
106 in Park thing was years ago. Now that was more than a decade
Yeah,
ago. Yeah.
but that was after he lost all his money, allegedly. I mean, I'm sure we can look that up. Bow Wow, and this is a hilarious thing to be searching. Bow Wow loses money. Little Bow Wow, you just don't know. His music was never good. Let's be honest here. Rapper Bow Wow loses $100,000 in what? In insane Madden bet. This is from 2010, which is a wild time to be placing bets on Madden. Wisely places another compulsive wager. Artist formerly known as Lil Bow Wow. Blah, 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 blah. Apparently, his worst setback was when he bet an amount of money that most Americans would never see in their bank accounts. He beat me. I had to pay him 100 grand, said Bow Wow, referring to a Madden match between him and the game, which we can only assume was alcohol induced. And apparently it wasn't even close. He beat me kind of bad, added a sheepish Bow Wow. Is there any other stuff where he's lost more money? How'd he lose all his money? Real reason Bow Wow lost his money, according to Grunge. Never heard of that. Have you heard of this website?
No, I'm looking. The only thing that's popping up though is this amid $3,000 catfish scandal.
That's pretty awesome. Growing up in the early 2000s, you remember Bow Wow. I haven't heard that name for a while. He owed 126 grand in unpaid taxes in 2012. During a child support hearing, that he only made $4 grand a month and only had 1,500 in his checking. He was asked to pay more than 3,000 child support the next day. He signed to host. See, I told you. He signed to host on BET's 106 in Park with at least 200 grand. The court ordered Bow Wow to pay 11.5 thousand to his mother and back child support, and 3,000 from that point on. That's an insane amount to pay monthly, even if you're making 200 grand. So you're basically making like 10 grand, 20 grand a month. And then after taxes, maybe not, but after taxes, you're probably only making 10 to 12. Depends on where you are. And then he's got to pay 3,000 a month. That is wild. So Bow Wow mystery solved. Here he is, shirtless and kind of fat. The only person who can pull that off is a really fat guy, your favorite guy, named Rick Ross. We can keep with the rap theme now, Eric. Friend of the show also, Burner, has a line of rolling papers, which this is going to hit you from all angles. Marijuana, Burner, which you've also got. I mean, second to Richie the Barber comments, Burner comments against Eric are some of the highest trending comments on the show. He's put together rolling papers that come with a card about a person who is in jail for weed charges. Bringing together a worthwhile cause with a quality role is the news. This sounds like an ad. Burner is earmarked the Last Prisoner Project, a nonprofit.
Yeah, Los Angeles Magazine. Yeah, this is an ad.
Is it?
Los Angeles Magazine? Yeah, dude.
What is that?
It's just it's like one of the, I think it's like, well, maybe you have to pay for it, but I thought it was like they used to have the free ones at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just
like gay magazines like that in Toronto, in the free magazines. Each pack of king-size papers comes with a card that calls for the release of a different prisoner. They are Richard Ashmead, Hector McGurk, Dirt McGirt, that reminds me of, and some other guys. In a statement to LA Magazine, board member Stephanie Shepard explained the selection process. Our 4 constituents were picked due to the egregious sentences they've all received, ranging from 22 years to life without parole. Their strong engagement with our staff and dedication to redressing the unjust harms inflicted upon themselves and others incarcerated for cannabis. This is assumedly in California, Eric, and it's wild that like even in California, where they promote like not incarcerating people so much, that they still have these things. They still have these people in prison. And it reminds me of how the whole Biden campaign was supposed to be. They had the Inflation Reduction Act, and then they recently wheeled out John Podesta from his crypt and said this was actually a climate change thing. So they're not even trying anymore. And it just goes to show you everything they say that they're doing is just, as you might say, a lie. They are drilling it wasn't Exxon. A different oil company just got a contract to drill in the Gulf of Mexico on the United States side. And then they're also drilling in Alaska. So they quickly learn that this stuff doesn't work, that they force things and it just doesn't work. So they say that they are also, no more cash bail in California and San Francisco, everything runs free, but they don't bother to go back and, exonerate these people who are in jail for weed. Having said that, I think it's pretty ridiculous to have here are trading cards for felons.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that those people are in California, and that might be part of the whole thing. Like those people, but I don't know. I don't. It's maybe right. Maybe those people are not in California, which is exactly why they're pushing to let them out. But also, I'm gonna say it. I think if you pull one layer off any of these cases, you really won't. Okay.
I was thinking the same thing. You know what I did that for the other day? So I was writing about in Baltimore how they said, this group said, 1 billion birds die per year from running into windows. Okay. So they want all these office buildings in Baltimore to change their glass to have marks on them so that the birds don't think that it's just a clear shot. Right. Fine and dandy. The numbers actually kind of checked out when you think of when you calculate all across America, all these birds hitting things. It's something like 80 or 60 a year into buildings. I can't prove it. I don't think that many birds are dropping dead. I don't see many bird corpses on the streets anywhere. However, I was like, there's something behind this. Dig a layer deep. This nonprofit for the birds is a 100-year-old company, 100-year-old nonprofit union sort of thing. In 2010, they were, or 2012, a decade ago or so, they were campaigning for climate change bills. They said the current climate change bill wasn't strong enough, that sort of thing. So really, they're just window salesmen who are trying to make profit for companies that are pushing climate change. So that's exactly what I think of when I see this too. Let's take a look if we can find
Well,
out
hang on.
if
There
this
was
is a scam in
also,
real time.
there was also a very, maybe notable isn't the word, but it raised an eyebrow to me at the very beginning of Rona, a local New York story where they said a 33-year-old woman has passed of COVID-19. To let us know that it wasn't just old people, and a 33-year-old woman in Queens had died. And I'm not joking, at the bottom, the last paragraph of the article, they say that she had asthma and AIDS. Like that, and that's what I'm saying with these prisoners. Like, oh yeah, he was just smoking a joint on his porch, and the cops walked up to his property, and now he's in jail for the rest of his life. Okay. Sure.
So this is clearly a strongly celebrity-backed thing. We've got Bill Maher, Melissa Etheridge, Tommy Chong, Be Real, Doug Benson, Jim Belushi. So this is obviously going to be a tax write-off for many people involved. Legal committee. I want to know more about their mantra, our impact. Policy reentry. Total funding distributed through our reentry resources, 2.4 million is how much that is. This is a lot of infographics. Kevin Allen was serving life sentence with a possibility of parole for convicted in 2014 of selling $20 of marijuana. Let's go to partners.
Roll it up for justice.
Ascend. Traditional barriers, abandoning marketplace, redefine the industry from the ground up. Let's see, because of cannabis to be accessible to everyone. That's weird. Cannot erase the injustices that past people and communities have experienced as a result of decades of failed cannabis policies. You hear that? Very loud car going by. We can bring restitution to those who have been harmed by supporting their release from incarceration. I'm surprised. I'm surprised we haven't seen more. I think this is just, going to be a thing where, rich stoners like Tommy Chong and Be Real just want to say that they're helping the stuff. But if it is what it is on the surface, then I don't see that as a bad thing. If they are,
it's
paying
not.
legal fees.
It's obviously
Eric,
not.
Let me give the positive spin, okay?
Sorry.
Let me give the Richie the Barber angle, okay? We can all change. Even if we've tattooed our faces to be clowns, we can all change from our satanic partying past, okay, Eric?
Yeah. All right. Come on. We yes, you're right. And these people are here to do good. And
shout out Rumble watchers, shout out Twitter and Getter watchers, shout out everybody on audio. We can do one more story if you want. We can do it quickly.
Okay, let's do it.
Since it's a racist story.
California yes.
Teachers say that kids axe instead of axe is rooted in white supremacy. I think I have this video queued up to the exact spot I can put it to that it was from. I didn't watch it, but basically, did you read this? What's the gist of it? That
it's very short. It's very short. It's just a quick little story. It's kind of like a meme though, almost like. Oh, see, I didn't watch this whole video, but isn't there just
up to the clip? So hopefully YouTube sucks for streaming for some reason.
Wait, isn't there just the Twitter, the little Twitter of
Is
just
there?
the? Go back to the article. Can you go back to the article? Scroll down. I thought there was just the.
From Misinformed.
Yeah.
The guy who clips everything.
Saw this in my time in the public school system. When a Black or African American child says to their teacher, "Teacher, can I ask you a question?" And the immediate response being from the teacher with a sense of superiority based in white racial superiority, often with our 84% white female teachers, the response being, "That's not how we say ask. We say ask. Ask isn't a word." And so we have children that understand their home language practices to be not just deficit, not just wrong, but broken, ignorant. The list goes on and on as to what it communicates when you police a child's language that their home and their community has taught them. So for me, I really like to ask my teachers to start with that identity work and look at yourself and understand what are you bringing into the classroom as a norm, and what do you need to maybe make.
Eric, how does it feel to watch a white woman just beg for your skin color to love her? That's what this is. Please love me, black people. I am willing to put all reason and logic aside if you will tell me that I am not racist. Axe is a word, actually. There's a word called axe. It's both a body spray and a weapon and a tool. But that's like saying you shouldn't correct it. By her logic, you can't correct a lisp. You can't correct, in Canada, a Newfie, maybe a Cajun person in Louisiana. You can't tell them what they're saying is wrong because that's what they've been taught. It makes absolutely no sense.
Well, doesn't
the
it?
English language is wrong.
As a teacher, we're not talking about nurses or hospital administrators or construction workers. We're talking about people whose job is to actually teach kids. So that's how far we've gotten. But doesn't this remind us of, I don't know, from a week or two ago, where we realized that it is, in fact, white women aged 20 to 40 who are ruining this for everybody. And the other thing that it's kind of like gotten to like the axe thing that's been going on for quite some time, right? Like it was always a joke to me, right? Like, hey, Miss Teacher, ma'am, you know what I mean? Like that type of sort of boondocks meme type of satire about ask and axe. But it kind of reminds me also of now this the chirp, right? Are we familiar with the meme that for some reason somehow there's a handful of these interviews, one of these women who was what was I think she was like a sprinter or something, an athlete, an athlete, an Olympic athlete. And then there's another guy who was in New York who sued the city or the state because he didn't pass the teacher's exam, right? So he couldn't even make it to become a teacher. And all of them somehow can't figure out how to change the battery in their smoke detector. That's what this reminds me of. It's like, it's just one of those things that somehow, some way this has been linked to a certain group of people. And it's not a big deal. It's kind of comical, but they want to turn everything into, it's weird, bro.
Eric is racist. I apologize for the audio listeners specifically who've been axing about him being too racist. This woman's right. It is white women. Like I told you before, here it is also not just white women, but other women as well. And she needs to retire. She needs to step down. She is part of the problem, even though she thinks she's the solution. So she, as well as the 42% of women that are teaching in her jurisdiction, should also retire. And when she's sitting there and she's getting these every head nod from the other people on this Zoom call is like a shot of heroin right into her veins. She's like, oh, people are agreeing to me. Oh my God, agreeing that I'm racist too. And, she's going to go home. She's going to tuck herself in, watch some 90 Day Fiance, probably cry herself to sleep, and then post nudes online.
The soft bigotry of low expectations in the highest form.
Say goodbye to everybody. Now you may raise the book. Thank you, Rumble audience, Twitter, YouTube, everybody on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Your camera is reversed, so it says, oh, sauce, you tick, Croy, when.
Oops.
Sorry, I need this. Dave Chappelle GTA sketch.
Turn it up, Jordan.